Hi, Glenn Future Funk Squad here. This is a talk through of my brand new album 6. This is the intro, Something to Believe.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. 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 How it's going to begin.
In true Funk Squad fashion, we have this long, not always long, but an intro. I like to sort of set a bit of a scene for the album. I've always done that ever since Audio Damage, one of me entering the funk vault. Go and have a listen to that, it's quite funny. This kicks rather nicely into Tensions High. Big DJ build. Come on, hands in the air. Hammer off. Tribal rhythms Aguan. This version is actually, I think it's about, the original release on Spotify was 124 BPM. I made it that way because it just worked as a groove and the funk. And when I came to do the album, as the album sort of evolved, and it's like, oh, okay, it's quite a lot more clubby. That was a bit of a clunky sound. It just made sense to give it a little bit more pace. So this is about 127 BPM, I want to say. But it works well, and then also this can be pitched up a little bit. I've played it at 129, 130 even. The majority of the album is at 130 BPM, so yeah, this just kind of rolls nice. Alright, I'll be quiet for a minute. Let's have a little listen. So for those of you that know my stuff, I mean, I'm assuming you're listening to this because you know my Future Funk Squad project. This is my 6th album. The previous one was Unified Forms. And then before that I did an album called 4, which was a lot more experimental. It kind of like was written over I think it was a 2-month period in between co-producing the Crystal Method album. I was out in LA working with Scott for a few weeks. We did a load of work, and then I came back, did some stuff remote, but also was like, you know what, I just got really inspired whilst over there to do something quite experimental. So I did 4 basically, and then I went back and was like, hey Scott, listen to my new album. He's like, whoa, that was quick, but it was good. It was a really good process, and I sort of set out to do that with 6, and this was the first track I did for the album. Yeah, it's a banger. And this is called Tensions High because obviously a lot of information was going into my mind at the time with all the... I don't watch the news, but I'm aware of what's going on, and it's a lot of tension here and there, and also just probably personally had a bit, and it kind of wrote itself in a way, and just a bit of angst, a bit of energy, well, a lot of energy, I think. Moody vocal thing. A little bit quirky, a little bit different for me, so that was kind of the initial experimental aspect, I guess, of the album, but then it kind of went in more of a, you'll hear as it evolves, a bit more of a clubby direction, which I'd sort of intended to do a club album last year but put it on hold, but I guess subconsciously it was like, no, you're going to write a kind of a club record, and fingers crossed there's going to be a double vinyl which will have 2 tracks aside, so like a classic, maybe gatefold, maybe not, with 2 tracks on each side for DJ friendly usage, etc., and for you collectors, so that's going to be really nice. But yeah, this is Tensions High, kicked off with this, and then we're rolling into a track called Fearless. A little bit different for me again. This is the continuous DJ mix that's going to be... It's available on Bandcamp at the end. I had to split it into, I believe it's 3 parts, because you're not allowed to upload more than 200 meg to these aggregators, so sadly that's the way it's had to go, but it should play continuously like a DJ mix, as this does. Wait for this sub, it's a proper new school sub. You're going to need a good system to check that on, or decent headphones, but it's pretty meaty. You can hear this is, it's a bit of a banger, but also it's a bit of a heads down, lock in kind of thing. If that makes sense. Yeah, roll out the brakes. And there's two sort of reoccurring themes on this album, as you'll hear as it develops. One is the 303, the TB 303. Always been a favourite machine of mine, but I only recently got hold of a real one, so that's featured on almost every track, but not always in the usual way. It's actually not on this track, I'm saying that, or Tensions High, but from here on it's pretty much on every track. Also not Blaze Up, the last tune. Anyway, I'm sort of waffling about that. And also in the past, obviously, I've worked with amazing vocalists, But I remember like growing up listening to dance music and hearing little vocal samples, you know, whether it's a female vocal sound, usually was a female vocal, you know, put your hands in the air and all that kind of stuff. But that's a really good impression. I don't know why I'm not singing on the album. And also, I recently went to see Orbital, who I grew up with, and I'm a huge fan. Big shouts, guys. And I love the way they use vocals as an instrument texture, as opposed to, you know, a song, etc. And I sort of thought, I've not really done that as Future Funk Squad. I might have done it on a remix or two. So I really enjoyed it on this. I didn't actually get singers in. I used a mixture of samples, and I also went to Loop Cloud and Splice and Producer Loops, Producer Cloud. So there's a variety of areas where I've sourced some vocals from. Some have been, you know, maybe some textures from some samples or some sessions or something. But yeah, it was really good fun as well to add that to the palette, as it were, you know. And actually, here we are in Moving Forward. This is track 3. Well, track 4, technically.
It's gonna hit as hard as life.
This version's been slightly extended. It's been mixed a little bit different to the initial release. Obviously features the Rocky sample and the Rocky monologue. It just kind of made sense in a way. It just kind of dropped. I just heard it and it was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is a Funk Squad growler.
Keep moving forward.
I got the skills to defeat the street, to bring the heat and let the bass control the soul.
See if you can spot where the vocal rap is from. Answers on a postcard.
I got the skills to defeat the street, to bring the heat and let the bass control the soul.
Let the bass control the soul. I wonder.
Moving forward.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. It's gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
There's the first 303. Love it. Just rolls and rolls.
Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward.
This rolls nicely into the technique, which again is something a bit different for me. I think this whole album's been a little bit of an exploration, a little bit of a, you know, experimental playground in the studio, which is really good. You know, I had a lot of fun. And I actually find, in the past, I was always dead against using any samples. I couldn't use samples from records because a label that I was signed to at the time kind of drummed it into me, never use samples. So everything was played, programmed, whatever. But on this one, I've been doing lots of different styles of music over the years. Lots of media work, lots of adverts, and for that, you're constantly using like loop masters or to get inspiration here and there, or even to quickly throw together an idea. And even saying that, 9 times out of 10, 80% of it stays in. And I just, I'm only speaking for me here, will probably play about 20-30% of the elements, and the rest will come from some samples, because you've got to work super fast in that world. I'm talking 2 hours to have a whole track done, sometimes less than that. So to be able to get musicians and all that lot is just impossible. And obviously over the years doing that and doing sample packs myself for loop masters, and I've got one myself on Bandcamp, and it's over on Wavetick, I believe. I've just found it really interesting, and I think the barrier of, oh no, you can't use it because it's just other people's sounds and it will just sound like those other people. But you think about it, there's hundreds and thousands of sounds out there, loops, sounds, and in my head it's kind of like back in the day you'd buy a synth like a JD800 or a Korg Prophecy, and you flick through the presets and you're like, oh, that's the Prodigy, that's Voodoo People, or that's you know what I mean. And it's kind of like when pieces of hardware came out, people who were a little bit lazy would just use the presets and you'd hear it all over records. And I think it sort of gives something a sound as well, and a. But I think that in the loop masters, splice world, there's so much. Like, I would search the most random genres and packs and pull that into what I'm doing. So it's not your obvious. I think if you set out to do an EDM track, if that is still a term, or say if you set out to do a tech house track and you just go to tech house volume 1 and chuck in the drums, the bass, a riff, then yes, that's, you're not going to sound unique. It's going to sound like everything else. And that has happened, and it does happen, which I think is very lazy, obviously. But I think if you're using it as a sound source to, mix and match stuff massively, like, then it's really creative. It's no different to Fatboy Slim taking 6 or 7 records, sampling bits and putting them into his track. No disrespect, Fatboy, your tunes are legendary, and sticking a 303 over the top, which is kind of what I've done on this album. but I've also programmed lots of beats and sounds and all sorts. But I've had a lot of fun, basically. What I'm saying is I've had fun, and I've kind of got over that mental thing of I can't use sample packs and samples and that. You can. You just got to use it in your own unique way and in your own creative flow. That's the key. Anyway, I waffled a hell of a lot, but that was the technique, which I'm sure you've heard before. If you haven't, then you've missed it now, and go and check it on Spotify and buy the album and you'll hear it in full. This is Tomoy. This is a track that's dedicated to my other half. It's just a beautiful piece of music. She's a beautiful woman. So, big love, and let's have a listen to this for a minute. It's a sort of deep moment of the album. I really wanted to do something a little bit more emotive and deep. 303 bubbling under. I love the way it just sort of teases in there. It's used in quite a different way on this one. In fact, all of the tracks, to be fair. It's only the real acid where it just screams out like high estate. That was kind of the intention. Love that little glittery doom doom doom. That was a Juno 6. Sort of played it live. I just had this riff in my head and a sound, and oddly enough, I couldn't find that on a sample pack. So I played that live. I think that kind of I think that's the old Korg MS2000. That was on my first album, Audio Damage. Quite a lot on there. Here comes Mr. 303. And what's 3 plus 3? Yes, exactly. I kind of just envisaged this track in the middle of the album, and kind of just thought if it was an old tape, like you're listening to an album on cassette, you know, this would be the last track on side one, nice and floaty, and that was what I had in my head. So So yeah, basically what I was saying earlier is for you know, for any budding producers out there, I think get stuck into Loop Cloud or Splice or Producer Loops, Producer Cloud, I believe it's called. They've all got loads of their own unique things, you know, specific to them, and they also cross-pollinate, you know, some packs. But I mean, it's just insane, you know. It's like walking into a massive library, you know, and looking at loads of books. No, it's not. It's nothing like that, actually. But anyway, so you know, so get your handful of your favourite soft synths or your analog synths. I mean, I've got a nice balance now. I've got some great analog synths, and I've got some Roland stuff, Moog, sequential circuits, Korg. And then I've got my favourite plugins like the UAD stuff, UE, Diva, Basil, I think it's called. Basil? Okay, you won't understand that if you don't know what Faulty Towers is. Anyway, and then, you know, I've got quite an extensive, you know, breakbeat collection of sounds, beats and stuff that I've spent many years, you know, putting together. So that, and then you tap into the producer loops and those places for these other little elements and sounds, and it's, you know, it's just so much fun. So I highly recommend. Anyway, this is The Real Acid. You might have seen the Ed 209 video clip online. This is a banger. And this is where the 303 really lets rip. A little backstory to this tune. It actually started life as a remix. A good friend of mine had a track in a movie and wanted me to release that track, and I was like, but it was kind of like a house track, so I was like, well, I can't put it on Envision because Envision is a breakbeat label, technically, and so I thought, oh no, I'll do a remix. So I took that little vocal sound, that ooh ah, and there's a little din 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 din, and there was another vocal, like a spoken thing, which I vocoded, and I made this track. Although in this current form, there's a lot more added and stuff, and it's developed a lot. And I put the remix out. It's called Fix Up Work It. It was on my Bandcamp, etc., and Spotify, but it just kind of got a bit lost. And I think I'd just got the real 303, and it was like a really good sort of like trial to do that track, and so pleased with it. And it just kind of got a little bit lost, fell by the wayside. And when it came to, and as the album developed and shaped up, I was like, you know what, I really want that track on the album. So I took out the elements apart from this vocal, which I found out is actually a sample, so it's all good. And I replayed that little tension kind of keyboard thing, because I didn't want to keep elements from the original in there. Everything else is all mine anyway, and it just, you know, I wanted to just do a banger, and this is me singing here. Not the not those bits, but this lyric bit. You're like, what? Can you see me in my fishnets and my hot pants singing that? Or shouting it, rather. Bottle of WKD in my hand. Technology, man, it's insane. So I just sung that line, tear the club up, tear the club up, and there's loads of websites out there that you can put a vocal in and have it in other people's voices. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen them. So I just used a couple of those. I think it's layered up with 2 or 3 different vocalists, but I just like the sound. It was exactly what was in my head, but obviously me doing it wouldn't do it justice. So no one wants to hear me go, tear the club up, tear the fucking club up. It's not good. So anyway, that's how that came about, and I think it's a banger. I can't wait to play that all over. This takes us into Progress is the next track, I believe. Hope I'm right. And with this track, I kind of I had an idea to, let me just move the mic a little bit. I had an idea to sort of go back to basics like I did. I remember thinking to myself, how did I used to make tracks? And basically I had an EMU sampler. I had like the Korg MS2000. I had a Roland SH101, which I've always had, and I still do. And that was about it, really, and a few effects processors, and I all went into a Yamaha digital mixer, so that had some compression and reverbs and delays and choruses and stuff. So that's where a lot of my initial sound came from. Tracks like Same Frequency and Blaze Up, which is on here, a new version. But I remember the simplicity. Look, you just got a groove. And the beats were very simple. Kick, snare. There's not much to this, but it just really rolls, you know. Little shuffle. pick up on the shaker. It reminds me of kind of like, I did a remix for Two Sinners called Circles. Running round in circles. I don't know if you remember that one. If you're a Spanish raver, you'll remember it from back in the day. This kind of reminds me a little bit of that, you know. It's quite beautiful when this vocal thing comes in. And it just made me look back and go, from there to here, there's been a lot of progress. So yeah, it's a bit of a hint to that time. So yeah, I'm really proud of this one. Let's have a listen. I love the way the 303 does a little counter melody here, and it kind of just, I want to say, glides around the beats and the bass in a real sultry way. That's how I hear and feel it. Here we go. Come on. That's definitely going to rock the club. Imagine that played off vinyl. Come on. I just love that contrast between the haunting vocal and the gritty rolling beats and bass. Proper old school breaks. Love it, man. Love it. That's progress. We're at about 130 BPM here now, maybe 131 on the mix. This is a DJ mix I did after I'd finished the album. This goes into Trentos. That's my Spanish for you. And obviously it means 303. I think we're stepping up to like 1.3. Oh no, I think progress is 133 BPM. And then this one, Trentos is 135. The rhythm. Music. In the mix. Come on, let's roll out the beats. Nice punchy one here. I played this in a early form and Halloween last year at Spain, and it went down a real treat. Yeah. Definitely a banger. This is definitely dedicated to all the Spanish raves I've played at, you know, over the years, which is quite a lot. And I've always enjoyed it, and this is one for them. Big up. See the crowd jumping now. So yeah, that's track 9. And we're going into the final track, which is a track called Blaze Up I did back in 2002 for a label called Forged. And it's always been a bit of a staple one in my DJ sets in Spain and everywhere actually. I remember when it came out, I played everywhere and it always went down really well. And I just sort of thought I wanted to tie something to this album, a sort of a classic moment but with a modern twist, and it just made sense, so I've called it the 6 Mix. It's got a lot of the original elements and energy, but with a bit of a modern punch on the beats and the just overall production. I think it works a treat. Really pleased with this. Blaze Up the 6 Mix. Mic. Blaze up. The mic. Blaze up. That's not me, by the way. The mic. Yeah, I love that atmosphere and that. It's the old Korg. MS-2000 again. Heads down, beats and bass. I love that when you hear a little vocal, but you don't really know what it's saying, but it's just a nice texture, you know. So there we go. That's my album 6. I hope I haven't annoyed you too much waffling all over it. There will be a full DJ version for you to listen to as well without me talking. It'll also be on Spotify and everywhere else, as well as Bandcamp, futurefunksquad.bandcamp.com. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled for the vinyl version. Double vinyl, heavyweight, DJ friendly, collector's piece. Only going to be a limited run, so make sure you grab it. Grab a couple, grab 3 copies, why not? Grab 6. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'm Glenn, Future Funk Squad. Thanks so much for your support over the years. You know, it's I'm very fortunate to still be making tunes and getting to DJ them and etc. So yeah, big ups. Take care.